How are you folks viewing the recent volatility moves, at least in terms of oil prices? Even though EnQuest, I believe, does not have a presence right now or operations in the Middle East, how closely are you guys watching this, and how is this affecting your business right now?
Well, I mean, I think this is the year of volatility. It's almost like every day we see something different. But obviously, this war between Israel and Iran is another step up. From an oil production perspective and availability perspective, I think the market is still very well supplied. And the longer this lasts, the more an issue this becomes. So I think the quicker we can come to an end of this terrible conflict, I think the better for overall markets. But I do think that the market is well supplied in the short to medium term. I mean, longer term, I do think we're almost at the end of the shale topping. I mean, I think we're going to get to a top end of the shale production in the U.S., given that prices have been weaker and continue to be weaker versus the last 20 years or so. But I think until that happens in the short to medium terms, I think the markets are well supplied.
Right. So this volatility is something we're going to have to deal with. Again, the investments and the new project that EnQuest has is happening against the backdrop of this volatility. Let's talk about EnQuest's presence here, because apart from the United Kingdom, you're also present specifically in Malaysia, but you're now looking at other projects in Southeast Asia. Tell us where you're looking right now and why that's important for EnQuest in the long term.
So we've been in Malaysia for 10 years. We bought ExxonMobil's interest in PM8 Seligi, two blocks. And we've been actually doing a very good partnership with Petronas and with Charagali. We were the operator of the year now 2 years in a row, which we're very proud of. We have now expanded in Malaysia. We've signed a contract today for supplying gas to Peninsular Malaysia and annexing the gas to our rights in PM8 Seligi. We're very excited about that. I think Malaysia needs a lot of gas, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. We are also expanding in Indonesia, where we've taken two blocks with the Tangguh Alliance, BP and the Tangguh Project Alliance there. And we are also in Vietnam, where we're buying Harbour's interest in Vietnam. So we're excited. I think gas and gas to LNG is our strategy here. And we do believe that pivoting our investment from really the North Sea, where we've been over the last 15 years, to Southeast Asia is the right strategy.
Indonesia is very interesting because it was at one time, maybe 30, 40 years ago, it's one of the top producers of energy, oil and gas in the entire world. And their industry has seemed fairly dormant, actually, until recent years. Why do you think the interest in Indonesia has picked up, specifically for the likes of yourselves?
So, I mean, in the past, gas was not a big part of the strategy for Indonesia. A lot of it was finding oil and trying to find oil and monetize oil. Recently, there's been a lot of ullage in LNG plants, and LNG has become much more growth story. As you know, maybe gas last year was up 2.7%. Globally, in Asia, it was 6% up. In China, it was 6% up in terms of utilization or demand. And so LNG is a big part of the story going forward, and part of the transition story as a transition fuel going forward. So I think the ability to find gas now in Indonesia and monetize that gas through ullage and LNG plants is a big story. And that's our focus area, both in the Tangguh area as well as in other areas in Indonesia.
Fascinating. I do want to talk about another aspect of the business for EnQuest, because it seems that carbon capture is becoming also very important for you guys. How does this fit with the overall strategy? Because you're staying in the production of hydrocarbons, but you're also looking at decarbonization. Talk to us about how the two businesses are going to perhaps coincide under EnQuest's long-term business strategy.
So we have licenses in the UK, carbon capture licenses in the UK. We also have a project which is a wind project onshore in our facility there. And we are looking at SAF. But I think the issue is, and we're very excited about those projects, but it really depends on government and government support for those projects. We saw that the government actually made some significant progress on two other CCS projects with funding, and that will help bring those projects to fruition. I think if we look at, transition it cannot be an ideology. It has to be really based on what societies are willing to pay for this transition. And so I think it's important that we don't deindustrialize with our transition strategy, both in the UK and other places. And I do fear that we need to continue looking at what is the most economic projects that we need to support to make this transition happen.
Finally, Mr. Bseisu, you have been actually a bit critical, actually, of the tax regime regarding oil and gas, particularly in the United Kingdom. Why do you think this might become a bit of a detriment for that particular part of the global oil industry?
Well, I think we're seeing deindustrialization in the UK. Jobs are being eroded. A significant number of jobs have been eroded, both in our industry as well as other industries. And I think it's important to recognize that actually not producing in the UK may be actually worse for carbon emissions.